Hi everybody, it's 1392 and I'm here with another review video. As you read in the title, I'm finally going to be reviewing dun, da, 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 a New York Times bestseller, Five Nights at Freddy's, The Silver Eyes, by Scott Cawthon and Kira Risley? Whatever. Apparently Scott helped in this. I'm trying to remember, what was it? It's in the notes, I think. About Breed Risley. I know I'm saying that wrong. Has been writing stories since she could first pick up a pen and has no intention of stopping. She is the author of 7 plays for Central New York teen theater company, the Media Unit, and has developed several books with Kevin Anderson and Associates. She is a graduate of Cornell University and lives in Brooklyn, New York. That's a bit about her. About Scott Cawthon. Scott Cawthon is the author of the best-selling video game series Five Nights at Freddy's, and while he is a game designer by trade, he is first and foremost a storyteller at heart. He is a graduate of the Art Institute of Houston, and lives in Texas with his wife and 4 sons. I don't know why I was trying to say Hickson for. Go away. Wow, I forgot about that. Him living in Texas. I hope he's alright, especially with those floods. Well, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this book. I'll say this. From what I know of the, I love the book art. I mean, look at Freddy. He looks so freaking awesome. He's so creepy looking. I mean, look at that. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him and be afraid. Look at him and be afraid. And this is a Scholastics book, so you might be able to find this in something. Yeah, it's $10. I bought it at the bookstore. Came out in 2016. I'm stalling, as you can tell. But, well, let's get down to it. The book looks great. I mean, I love the outside, the cover, all of it. It looks awesome. As far as I know, when it comes to the game's storyline, this book has nothing to do with it. So if you've played the game and think you know this book, you are wrong. Dead wrong. It does not follow the game's storyline at all. But it is a damn good read. Let me read the back of it for you. 10 years after the horrific murders at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza that ripped their town apart, Charlie, whose father owned the restaurant, and her childhood friends reunite on the anniversary of the tragedy and find themselves at the old pizza place, which had been locked up and abandoned for years. After they discover a way inside, they realize that things are not as they used to be. The 4 adult-sized animatronic mascots that once entertained patrons have changed. They now have a dark secret and a murderous agenda. That doesn't get you your blood pumping to read this. I don't know what will. So yeah, as you know, the lead character in this story, her name is Charlie. Yeah, go figure. I think her name was, I forget what her real name was. So we have, here's the friends list. I'm gonna do this as best as I can without spoiling anything for anybody out there wanting to read this. Charlie is the lead. She also has friends Marla, Jessica, Lamar, Carlton, John, and Michael. Sadly, Michael is the one that was killed of their little group. He was the one that was murdered. Then kind of almost in broad daylight too, which makes it even worse in this story. He was murdered in broad daylight. What it means by they're reuniting on the anniversary is they're actually coming back to the town. What the heck was the name of the town? Whoopsie daisy. Hurricane, Utah. Yes, I'm not kidding. That is the name of the of the that they named the town. I love it, Hurricane. I love the okay. This one part about the opening I love is yeah, for about almost 2 pages. Well, yeah, about 2 pages of when you first start reading it, it's actually happening during this action part that's near the end of the book. You read through this and then it snaps back to the beginning of when she first arrived. It follows her more since this is more of her story. It's more hers because her dad, as I said, her dad's the one who built the animatronics. He was a tinker. He built all this stuff. There's a lot of twists and turns in it because there's some stuff you find out about it that just is crazy. One of them being about the first pizza. It does touch back on the first pizzeria, and that the Freddy Fazbear's, the big one that was in this town is actually the second location, and there was a first murder and all of that. So it does touch on some of the aspects from the games thing, but it's not 100% tied in. So what was that? Was another thing I wanted to touch on. There is a love interest in this story between two of the characters. Actually, there's several love things going on between characters. My favorite is probably between Charlie and John. And that, as far as I'm going with that one, because I want you guys to read that and find out for yourselves what happens, because just go ahead and read it. There is another in this little trio, Jason, who is Marla's little brother. Her dad built her. She goes back to her house before she goes and meets her friends at this diner thing, where she reunites with her long lost toys that her father had built for her, and it was actually a very good scene. The atmosphere was very good. You had Stanley, this toy unicorn that you turn a wheel and it was on this motorized track that would go around the room. I don't care if you're a boy or a girl. That sounds freaking cool. Ella the doll, who was this little doll. You would hit a switch and she would come out of the closet, and basically she had a dress and all this that was like that mirrored a dress that Charlie had as a child. And then there was Theodore the rabbit, her favorite little toy because he could talk. He was a nice little plush. You hit a thing, he would talk to you. And sadly, it was her dad's voice, and her dad did die after the murder happened. Not long after the Michael's murder happened, he died. There's so much I want to talk about, but I don't want to spoil it. I don't know the balance. I don't have a balance. But probably one of the freakiest things that happened, you find out that Charlie has had a twin brother. He was the first victim. And it's very fucked up because the guy who's doing all the killings was her dad's business partner. The guy who, the guy he went into business with was the one killing the kids. He's sick, twisted, messed up in the head. And yeah, Michael was actually the last murderer. Apparently there was, I think, because they try to stay to what the book did, how there was original murder, and then I think there was 4 murders in the original story, in the original game story, and Michael had been like the last one, or something like that. Springtrap makes an appearance in this book, so it kind of combined the first 3 first 3 game storylines into this one. So it's basically they were trying to interweave them so they made more sense, because as we all know, the stories don't quite make a whole lot of sense. Well, the first game and the third game, but considering the second game was a prequel, that did not make it into this book at all, and I think that might be for the best. But there was a Fazbear's Diner that they kept that one. They scrapped the prequel game idea for this book. It didn't make it in there. God, what was another thing that happened? Basically, Charlie's been living with her Aunt Jen the whole time. Her mother is out of the picture. She's been out of the picture since her brother died. She ran off somewheres. Left her and her father. And the anniversary thing, the reason they're doing this for the anniversary of Michael's death was because they were doing a honoring ceremony at the school for him. I think they were building like the statue or a scholarship or something. You know, one of those type of things. It's really sad. They're all and they're all about, I think, almost 18 in this book. I think everybody is about that age, something like that. Yeah, her dad Bill built Golden Freddy does make an appearance in this game. That's what makes it this story. He makes an appearance in it. That's what made it actually creepy. One of the creepy things about it, the animatronics. He did hide the bodies in the animatronics. That was still a thing. There was Bonnie, Freddy, Chica, and oh my god, I love how they did Foxy in this. Apparently, Charlie has a fucking fear of Foxy. That's what made it so freaking creepy. That's what makes it so creepy was because she used to see him without before just the endoskeleton, and he's always been scary to her. She's afraid of him. Had nightmares of him, of that endoskeleton. That's the whole thing of the silver eyes, because he has these silverish eyes. And I guess he didn't actually get finished, if I remember reading that in the story. He wasn't 100% finished. He was always breaking down or whatever. Oh yeah, the bot of 87's not in this story at all. So yeah, we can get past that one. But yeah, that's what the whole thing behind the silver eyes is. It had to do with, had to go back with, I keep pointing in that direction, that's because that's where my plushie of Foxy is, and my Foxy shirt, Foxy the Pirate. But yeah, that's some of that stuff. It's so, it's a good read, man. It's worth picking up. If you're a fan of the Five Nights at Freddy's, actually, if you're a fan of horror at all, this is a good story to read, because it has you standing on your toes the whole time. It has you just, oh god, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen? Why are they going back to this? Why are they doing this? Oh yeah. For some reason, the town thought it'd be a good idea, instead of tearing down the old Freddy Fazbear's Diner, because nobody wanted to buy it, they tried to build a freaking mall around it. What made it so freaking bad was they built a mall around it. Why? Why not just tear it down? But they left everything in there, and for some reason there was still power going to the building. They never cut the power to the restaurant. So they sat there and just tried to build a mall around it. And doing that, because there was so much death, so much evil spirits, and all that, yeah. Nobody wanted to buy it because it had this darkness over it, and it was scary, and it just wasn't good. And I'm sitting there thinking, no shit. They should have just tore the place down and been done with it, and this entire story would have never happened. But then again, the bad guy would have never got his in the end. Which, to be honest, how he gets his, he gets it good. He gets it so freaking hard. It's awesome. So definitely read this book. It is worth the read. It is worth the $10. I picked mine up at Barnes and Noble. That's the closest one to me. Well, I'm entirely true. There's a Books A Million. But yeah, me and Yumiko were just kind of piddling around the mall, and we went to Barnes and Noble and was looking at stuff, and I found this, so I bought it, and it looked good, and it was. So yeah, I'd give this one an A plus, because it was scary, it was like reading a Goosebumps story. It was like reading an R.L. Stein story. I'll compare it to him because that's a fair comparison. It was like reading one of his books. So it was really good. It was really it was scary. Was the thing. It kept you. It kept me going. It kept me reading it because there's not many books that will grab me like that and make me want to read them. And this was one of them. And I haven't read a good horror story in a long time. And this one is definitely a good horror story read. I mean, yeah, the pacing is actually really good too, surprisingly. And it's good horror mystery. I mean, here, I'll read the first part of this chapter. He sees me. Charlie dropped to her hands and knees. She was wedged behind a row of arcade games, cramped in the crawl space between the consoles and the wall. Tangled electrical cords and useless plugs strewn beneath her. She was cornered. The only way out was past the thing. And she wasn't fast enough to make it. She could see him stalking back and forth, catching flickers of movement through the gaps between the games. There was scarcely enough room to move, but she tried to crawl backward. Her foot caught on a cord. She stopped, contorting herself to carefully dislodge it. She heard the clash of metal on metal, and the furthest console rocked back against the wall. He hit it again, shattering the display, then attacked the next, crashing against them. Almost rhythmically, sorry, big word, I screwed that thing up, tearing through the machinery. Coming closer. I have to get out. I have to. The panic thought was of no help. There was no way out. Her arm ached, and she wanted to sob out loud. Blood soaked through the tattered bandage, and it seemed as though she could feel it draining out of her. The console, a few feet away, crashed against the wall, and Charlie flinched. He was getting closer. She could hear the grinding of the gears and the clicking of the servos even louder. Eyes closed. She could still see the way he looked at her, see the matted fur and the exposed metal beneath the synthetic flesh. Suddenly, the console in front of her was wrenched away. It toppled over, thrown down like a toy. Power cords beneath her hands and knees yanked away, and Charlie slipped, almost falling. She caught herself and looked up just in time to see the downward swing of a hook. Now you can't tell me that doesn't sound really good. So anyway, guys, I hope you like this video. Definitely go check out this book. It's worth the read. I'm probably going to definitely have to play these games at some point because there's just more and more and more coming out. I was going to do this in a separate thing, but I think I'll go ahead and touch on it here. I was reading about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Apparently, Warner Brothers has dropped it, and something with New Line Cinemas, they also dropped it, but apparently Scott Cawthon had said something about Blumhouse picking it up, but if they do pick it up, it said something about them also starting fresh. So since they've been working on it for 2 years, everything they did is probably going to get wiped away and redone again. I hate to say it, but it really sounds like the Five Nights at Freddy's movie may not happen. It might end up in production limbo for a very long time, and we really shouldn't get our hopes up anymore about it, sadly. So, until that comes out, hopefully this book right here will satisfy your needs for the thrill, the insanity, the scare. So, peace out, guys.